Canine Detection Collaborative, a detection dog training trio with Stacy Barnett.
Hi.
Robin Grubel.
Hey there.
And Crystal Wing.
What's up?
With humor and a big dose of theory, our trio talks practical training advice and features interviews with top trainers and scientists. It's Canine Detection Collaborative.
Hi, this is Stacy Barnett from Canine Detection Collaborative, and I am here with my lovely co-hosts, Crystal Wing.
Hello.
And Robin Grubel.
Hello.
I love the way we do that. Always have fun with that. We started talking about what do we want to talk about next, and kind of came up with this idea that I think is actually going to be really interesting. So all of us we don't just search with our dogs or whatever, right? And we do multiple things with our dogs. And I think what we're all finding is that the more we do cross training and the more we do other things with our dogs, it just makes us an all-around better trainer. And that's what we want to talk about.
And I would say that not only does it make us a better trainer,
Dogs are better.
we have a more well-rounded dog.
Yeah.
And ability to help others.
Yes.
Because of the diversity of the activities that we do and what our dogs can do.
Yeah. So maybe we want to just talk about like what things we actually do, because people are like, oh, you do things other than,
Detection work.
Is there anything else?
Go figure. Okay, so Stacy, you go first.
Hey. Aha. So I have 4 hooligans, right? And I've done other things before these guys. So stuff that my dogs don't currently do that I have done before includes tracking. I've competed in a little bit of competition obedience. It was I didn't do high level or anything like that, but I did train it. At least I trained it. I didn't actually I did CDSP. I didn't do AKC obedience. Did a lot of rally in the back and that kind of thing. Right now, my dog's Brava, since she's a summit level dog, she needs other stuff to do. So, and she needs to really she needs training because she needs to keep her brain engaged. We've started agility. We started competing in agility. She also has her ratch. So she's a rat champion. Brava is a rat champion. She's also, all my girls do dock diving. We do fast cat. We do coursing. Of course, there's not really necessarily training involved in that, but we still do that kind of thing. And Y has started to get back into rally. He did rally a long time ago. Prize, I'm starting to teach a little bit of obedience too. It turns out I think she might actually be pretty good at it. Powder has started some agility stuff. So I just I do a lot of stuff. I just kind of figure out what the dog wants to do and I run with it. And that's in addition to all the searching. And I want to start somebody up in tracking again. I'm not sure which one. Because I got inspired after our podcast with Emily.
Yeah, she's so great.
Yeah, but I want to do that psycho search, the psycho tracking.
Yes.
No footprint tracking for you.
No psycho tracking. I'm going to do like all, Yep. How about you guys?
So I do the detection work, all of the different types of detection work. And I tend to run my narcotics and explosives dogs more like my cadaver dogs because that's the type of searching I enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that crossover that, my explosives and narcotics dogs will work out in large areas like a cadaver dog.
Yeah. Which is closer to nosework.
Which is closer to nosework, which is we had that discussion yesterday.
Yeah.
I dabbled in tracking a long time ago because I went to a Steve White seminar very early on in my career. And so actually with my very first dog, we did some of the first, he was doing hydrated tracks on asphalt for, I think we were doing about 100-yard tracks with serpentines before he's like, dude, I'm an area search dog. Why would I want to do this? So I did article work with him as well. and have done article work with a couple of dogs. Most did herding for a little while with the herding dogs, because that was my border collie English Shepherd phase. And then recently with all the labs have really started getting into hunt tests and enjoying the technicality of teaching hunt test type of stuff, which contrary to its name has nothing to do with the dog using its nose. Which is all obedience.
That's really fascinating.
Yeah. And can the dog run in a straight line? Can it do a calm hold? Does it have the impulse control to watch bumpers and birds falling and not go after willy-nilly, whichever one it wants? So all of those sorts of things. And that's and then figuring out, and the people I'm training with very nicely are explaining all of these new things. Like there's a difference between gun dogs, hunt test dogs, field trial dogs, and all sorts of things. So that's plus occasionally, especially in the winter, I end up doing some of the puppy Pilates, the conditioning. I call it puppy Pilates, the conditioning stuff, because when it's a -30 wind chill, I am not taking the dogs for a run. And then Nico, I also have all the agility and directionals because I have the FEMA stuff that I do with him. So the labs flow over to that as well. So we're doing directionals and that sort of thing. And then because Nico always needs more work on obedience, because up until recently, obedience has not been, I don't enjoy obedience. So therefore my dogs don't enjoy obedience.
Yeah.
So I'm really trying to learn how to enjoy obedience, and Nico is actually really good at it. If I take the time to actually train it, and I think about using his toy as a distraction. And it's amazing what he can pull out and how focused he can be when that like little bitey pillow is floating over his head. He can be stellar awesome. So, it's just kind of funny. Okay, your turn, Crystal.
I've done a couple things. Agility was my gateway into all of this madness. I had Mr. Charles, and he was my amazing pet. I think he was 7 when I got him, and he was, I think, 16 or 17 when he passed. And he just wanted to do things. He was just a wonderful boy, and he'd go to parades. And so he was like this fun little guy. So we did agility, and he did really well with that. And then that got me into thinking about other sports. And I got a German Shepherd that got me into IGP, which at the time was IPO, that had just changed from Schutzhund.
Yeah. Identity crisis.
Yeah, a little bit. And with that sport, there's kind of that insane footstep, or what'd you call it?
Psycho track.
Psycho. Yeah, so you got psycho tracking.
Psycho tracking.
And then you have insane obedience. And then you have, I don't know what you would call the protection in that one. But it's pretty intense, like very by the book, lots of rules, lots of details. Half a centimeter must bite fuller, this kind of thing. And then I fell in love with Mondio Ring. So that's another protection sport. And then also now I'm really enjoying PSA. We just got to see regionals here just a couple weekends ago. And again, that just reignites my fire. And I'm like, yes, let's go do the thing. So Yukon, though, really helped me try a few things. So I've done dock diving with Checkmate and Yukon, and I used it as conditioning as well. And actually, Quinn was the first one to do it, like 10 years ago, I guess. He also did rally, and with Yukon, I do a lot of parkour training, but I don't actually go for the titles. I just kind of follow the programs and just do the things. And the same thing with the tricks. Like we could do all the trick titles, but I just don't pay for them.
I don't think they have like in parkour the on the house trick.
They
on
actually,
the roof trick.
There's actually dog parkour.
Yeah. There's actually dog parkour. There's several levels, and
there's everybody's level, and then there's Quinn
and Yukon.
Yeah, Quinn and Yukon both were my parkour babes.
Oh no, it's Quinn. Sorry, I was thinking.
Yukon. No, both.
Yukon. I'm like, I just have like this, like that Christmas song up on a house?
No, that was my first experience with Quinn when he was a pup, was that the squirrel was running on the house on the wire, on the power wire, the whatever wire comes from the pole to the house.
Uh-huh.
And I was watching him in the kitchen. He was bark, bark, bark at this squirrel, and then all of a sudden he got quiet. And I'm looking through the window. I'm like, where'd he go? And so I step outside, and he jumped onto the kennel on the side of the house and onto the roof of the garage to get onto the roof of the house to get the squirrel.
So rewind a second. So
Yeah.
you've had now 2 of your dogs have gotten on the roof.
Oh,
So
yeah. Yeah.
you have a really short house.
No, it's a totally regular house. It's
That's
just
my first question is your house just really short?
no, they're just both from the same breeder. The same crazies. When you say that Powder has part kangaroo.
Yeah, she's definitely part kangaroo.
But we've done rally, we've done the parkour stuff, we've done the trick stuff. We did weight pull. What a great community that is. Wow. They were so welcoming and really helped us out. That was a really fun thing to do. We did Frisbee League because there aren't that many Dutch Shepherds in it.
I've forgotten a bunch of sports, I'll tell you later.
Yeah. So in Frisbee League, Yukon was like the number 2 Dutch Shepherd in the world because there were only 3 that were in that session.
That's great.
And it was just Frisbee League, like backyard Frisbee.
Yeah.
I also did the level 1 and level 2 Finzi team titles, but I didn't pay for it. And then when you talked about Pilates, Joe Rosie calls it yoga. So I do a lot of dog yoga, and I'm really like ate up with conditioning. I do tons of like thoughtful conditioning with my dogs, and I think and bike joring. So I have my grandma's tricycle, and so I use that for the neighborhood. And when my old dog Sable several years ago, she would ride in the basket, 80-pound dog in the basket of my giant tricycle, and Quinn would be pulling us down the park, and people would give us all kinds of looks. And honestly, the thing I go to most for cross training is hiking. I mean, if you really want to talk about conditioning aspect, I think hiking is number 1 when it comes to conditioning. But yeah, so we dabble in a few things.
No, I've had a lot of people look at me and they're like, "Oh my God, Dash is so buff." and Dash is buff and Flair is buff. And you can see it really well in them because they're yellow.
Yeah.
Whereas Nico and Ember and the other dogs, you can't see it as well because they're black. But they're all that way. But that's because they go for runs.
Yep.
And it depending on which pasture I can take them to, depending on where the cows are, they also swim. And I actually, if we're doing longer runs, I use the UTV to either do interval training. We go slow, then we speed up and we sprint, and then we slow, all those sorts of things. So the conditioning thing is huge.
I forgot sports.
Okay. List sports. Keep going.
So I also do disc. I forgot I did that. And we're very, very close. We're a disc dog bronze title, which is kind of exciting. And I taught Brava how to do
up dog or which?
For up dog. Yeah, we do up dog. I just haven't done it since for a few months. I taught her how to do shed hunting. So Brava shed hunts. And I have attempted scooter joring. It's terrifying. The problem is stopping and turning. So I'm really just taking my life into my hands. So
you got to teach it first. Then it's not as terrifying.
So that's a great segue into learning how to become a better dog trainer by doing all those things. I have brakes, and if you hit those brakes too hard on the scooter, the front end goes down, the back end goes up.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
I think
and then the squirrels.
Oh, yeah.
The squirrels.
I think about hooking Nico up to one of those things, and I'm like, I'd die.
Oh my God.
No, you train it first. You do gi and ha. It's the same thing.
No, Brava. And it's not even that. She goes, "Oh, dog pee," and she stops. I'm like, keep going. And I'm like, "Oh, you can't go on by. And she's like, gotta sniff the dog pee. So yeah.
And I think that people we do it's if you listen to all of the stuff that we do, and Crystal made some really good points. She's not getting titles in this sort of stuff. And, there are quite a few of us that work with dogs that are sort of type A personality people.
Oh, hush you.
I know, right? And so once we start looking at, I'm going to get into this new thing, then it turns into, but got to be really good at the new thing.
Yeah.
And and this is why the hunting dog stuff has been really interesting for me, is it is so far outside of what detection work is, where we're teaching the dog to go away from us and to be obedient to odor and do all of this stuff in spite of what the human does. This is no, I need to have the dog listen and work with me, and I'll just put it out there point blank. I don't want to use a whole lot of pressure to do this, because I would really like my detection dogs to also do hunt tests. I can't squash them.
No.
So I still want a partner when we're doing hunt tests. And if I ever get the feeling from one of the dogs that they're not having fun, I'm like, we're done, we're out.
Yeah.
And I now have 6, so I have somebody else who will do it. So it's fine. But I think that is what it actually is doing, is teaching me a whole new set of skills, because up until me deciding to do hunt tests, I did not really care if my dog had a score sit.
Yeah.
And, it's amazing when all of a sudden something becomes style points that you might want to actually pay attention to it, right?
Yeah, what I love about doing all the things that I do is that I feel like it makes me more observant, and it makes me more sensitive to criteria, especially with training a nosework dog. It can, we're going out, we're setting hides and everything. But I think doing some of the other sports, it has helped me to be a little bit more thoughtful, even though it's in a different context. I'm thinking about, like, so for instance, if I'm teaching powder weaves right now. So right now we're getting 6 poles, right? So I'm thinking about reward strategy. I'm thinking about, how do I change up the next rep if she's not successful? How to change the angle. Maybe it's, am I too close? Am I too far? It just helps me to think, it's more like problem solving, really, is what it comes down to. It's like, how do I set her up for success to get through 6 poles? And the other thing is that it also teaches me how to train in small increments. So we don't always have to go out. I know my favorite thing for nose work is to go out all day, honestly, and just go to a really cool place with a friend of mine, and we set hides and we search all day and we have this really great day. But that's not realistic in terms of day-to-day training. And I find that, like, for instance, doing weave poles, I've got 6 poles in my backyard right now. And when I take Powder out to go to the bathroom, she runs out, she gets her green soccer ball. I'm like, bonus, that is a really great reinforcer that I can use in a lot of situations, as a green soccer ball. And before I give her a breakfast, I'm looking for 3 good reps. That's it. 3 good reps through the 6 poles. That's it. And so I'm getting this
little
success.
tiny things.
Yeah. And it's powerful.
And because one of the things with Shiva is, I was like, dude, calm mind. I need a calm mind. She is so excited to be doing all of the stuff that her arousal level goes through the roof. Right now, she couldn't sit and hold a bumper to save her life. I really don't think she could.
Yeah.
And so even today, what I was
she's
doing,
only 9 months old. I mean,
she's 9 months old. It's okay.
Yeah.
So what I ended up, we did a couple of blind marks I don't call them blind marks. I call them blind marks. So somebody's going to send me hate mail for saying the wrong thing.
You said the wrong thing.
So they're blinds. I'm teaching her, go out to the thing. I'm teaching her a target. And at the bottom of the thing is a bumper. Bring the bumper back. It's the beginning of blinds.
Okay.
And so she comes running back to me. And after the second one, she's not running out there super excited. So I'm like, okay, now we need to do fun bumpers.
Yeah.
And I turned fun bumpers into I'm now going to, as you come running back to me with the bumper, I'm putting down my hand as a nose target to swing her around. So now we're both walking together in the same direction, and she's still holding the toy calmly. And so it's now a walking hold, which is fine. And will eventually work up to the point where I can touch it. And as soon as I touch it and she won't drop it, I'm like, okay, we might get somewhere. Little tiny steps. It's teaching. She bumped my leg with the bumper and she's like, here, have it. I was like, oh, shoot. So now I have to be more conscious, don't bump into my legs. But it's getting me to think about training, like you said, in different contexts, because then it helps you be a better problem solver.
Yep. It's all about that splitting down criteria. And Crystal is actually, she's been such a huge, Crystal, you've been such a huge influence in my play and my reinforcement approach to how I train. I have a special reinforcement for all my dogs after we search, and a lot of this has come like just Crystal's like all these little like tentacles into my brain.
Oh no. I'm so sorry.
So we have those crystal balls, right? The crystal balls.
The wonder balls.
The wonder balls. They're called wonder balls. I call them crystal balls because our first time Prize adopted one of Crystal's wonder balls.
She kidnapped it.
She kidnapped it. It's so funny, actually. I had washed it because we were playing with it in the backyard. Because now we've had to buy multiple crystal balls because if we lose one, we're up a creek. So I washed this ball off because I had dirt on it and everything. And I put it briefly just on my windowsill behind my sink in my kitchen just to dry off. And then I have to put it in its special place. Otherwise, I have an issue. So I put it in my pantry, the top shelf of my pantry, in a bowl in the back of the shelf, right? So I'm in the front room and I'm hearing barking. I'm like, what is going on? She's in the kitchen barking at the windowsill where the ball used to be.
Oh,
it's fascinating. So anyway, the crystal ball. I diverged here. I do that often, right? So it's changed my reinforcement thoughts. So after a search, and I do this in a trial, I can't give her a ball and play ball with her, but I found out one thing that she loves to carry that ball back to the van. So part of her reinforcement is I just give the ball to her because I can't throw it after a search in a trial. I actually just hand it to her and she's like, oh my gosh, my ball. And she carries it back to the van. She's so excited.
I love her.
Even when I don't get to, even when we don't play with it, just the fact of like that holding it and carrying it and having it is so valuable. So
all the feelings.
All those tentacles, all those crystal tentacles in my brain going, reinforcement. It's been amazing.
I've been kind of listening and thinking about all of the cross training and how it's been so helpful. And I was thinking about how we are all so hardwired to find patterns. And part of that is the concepts that I start to see that's tied between each of the sports, and clearly like Mondio, IGP, and PSA, well, they're all protection sports. There's going to be a lot of similarities and they each kind of pulled from each other. But there's so many more. Like you were talking about dock diving and agility. Well, you've got your sit at your start.
Yeah.
And so it's the same for all my other sports too. Like with hunt tests too, you need to sit there and keep your act together and not lose your mind.
Yeah.
I need to be able to move away from you and you need to be able to be safe and stay there. And it's all of these activities we do are just strengthening this even more. And I was even thinking about like fast stops, like IGP, you do a send away. And then when they get down to the end of the field, you yell your down command and they hit the brakes and they hit it down, and hiking.
Well, welcome to a whistle sit.
Yeah.
And hunt
tests. Yes.
Yeah.
And hiking.
Yes.
I use it all the time in hiking as well. It's like, boom, you need to stop out there. Search and rescue, same thing. It's an emergency
stop. Yeah.
Even in rally, we use it in there in a
drop on recall.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So it's the same concept, but being taken to different levels. And really that's all of this cross training. That's what it is. The other thing that was really hitting me, and I was thinking about it, was all of the amazing trainers and competitors that I've met in all of these different areas. And I think not only cross training, but it's that connection to all these other trainers that has absolutely rocked my world when it comes to sharing information. Because when I'm helping someone that maybe has only ever done search and rescue, and then, for instance, in agility, we use cavalettis for warm-ups. We use them for conditioning. We use it for body awareness. But then, now it's like I use it for loose leash walking, and I wouldn't have thought to do that before.
Okay, interesting. Yeah.
But it just the amount of body control that it takes. You can't just wreck through everything. So slow your jets down a little bit, because you can't want to take a dog that's 1,000,000 miles an hour to like loose leash walking. There's an in-between step, but that's just the connections. And when you start to learn different activities and different foundations and different sports, then you can say, oh, okay, if I teach it the way I taught that activity over there, that'll make it so much clearer in this activity.
And you value it more.
Yes.
You value it more.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm valuing the fact that I can walk Powder to a search area now, kind of.
And not have her pull you.
Did you like that? Did you like that?
But it's okay.
Kind of.
It's that consistency piece. It's so hard.
She's not drafting me. She's not drafting me anymore. I mean, it's not quite a loose leash walk, but we're getting there.
Yeah.
And both of my arms are the same length. And I don't have to belay her anymore. Usually because I used to have to belay her off my hip.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have to do that anymore. So patting myself on the back for that.
And it's important. Well, I was, Sheba, she's 9 months old.
Yeah.
I'm putting her in a sit and I'm walking 15 to 25 yards away to drop bumpers and walk back. Or I'm throwing a bumper. I mean, this is something that we did yesterday was we were at the hunting dog trainers and they're throwing marks for her. And she is learning how to sit and hold a sit before she can go get a mark. It's all impulse control. When you're sitting and staying at odor, that is a sit stay. And don't move until you're allowed to go, until you're released. It's all impulse control.
I did that on the dock. So Prize, because again, we get better every time that we train a dog, right? So my youngest, I can put her in a sit stay at the end of the dock. It's a 40-foot dock. I leave her in a sit stay, tell her wait. I can run to the end of the dock, turn around, hold her bumper, and verbally release her to come running to jump in as I throw the bumper. Like for me, I'm like, oh, she's 2 years old.
And you know what? And those are some of those skills that are great to teach that are not odor work.
No, but they bleed over because then you don't have I kind of like a fire breather to some extent because we talk about fire breathers, right?
In the lab world, a really, really high drive, like field trial line dog they commonly in the vernacular call it a fire breather. I look at them and say, "You're cute. Let me introduce you to the Malinois."
I'm like, I like a lot of motor. So I definitely have a lot of motor in my dogs. But what's really cool is when you see that and you need to be able to harness that in searching anyway, because you don't want to have an out of control dog when they're searching.
So I will share this story. This is one of the stories that is probably one of the best compliments I have ever gotten because I didn't realize who it was.
Okay.
And when I lived in Ames, I would take my dogs to a particular park. And at that point I had, I had like 3 dogs. It was typically Moses, Ray, and Jenks, or Moses, Ray, and Talon. And I would turn them off leash, I'm sure, much to the angst of a lot of people in the park. But it was a wilderness park, so we'd go hiking. And I was out training, and I would teach my dogs that at any point along the walk, I would yell plots, because that's my word for down, because I poisoned the down cue. And they would drop where they were at, and they were to remain in that position even if I walked by. And somebody was walking, and what I would do, because I really was not supposed to have my dogs off leash, so really don't do this. And it was like 10 years ago.
A little PSA there.
Yeah, and it was 10 years ago. And it was not a well-used park because it was truly off-leash hiking, like up and down hills and stuff. And I would down the dogs whenever I saw anybody else on the trail, just because I was like, I need you guys to lay down. So one, you're not running at somebody to knock over a jogger because, dude, that's rude. And it was really good training. I'd done that for quite a while. And through my work at the university, I ended up meeting this very nice faculty member. And she's like, you're the lady. I'm like, what? She's like, you don't remember me, but I came walking by with my little poodle dog. And from a distance, you downed your dogs. And they stayed there as I walked by with Cody, who was having a conniption fit because he was having to walk by other dogs who were laying in a down. And you said hi. And at that point in my life, as I was actually running, she goes, and you just kept on jogging. And I watched you jog past your dogs. And you got to a certain point and you said, okay. And they all popped up and ran after you. And she goes, that was the most fantastic thing I've ever seen. And and I was like, I did that like 5 times a day while we were out for a run.
I'm sitting here going, you know what I'm really impressed about?
Huh?
You were jogging.
I know I was jogging, right? You know what? I did 5 miles once and then I stopped. And now my knees are like, yeah, you can't run anymore. Yeah. But I think I have gotten the most compliments from people, not necessarily when my dogs are out doing all of that super cool, fantastic stuff. It's no, because I asked the dog to sit, stay. I could be totally distracted by something else and talking to somebody else. And my dog holds the position or holds the down stay. And so I encourage people a lot to not underestimate the need for that functional obedience. And Crystal's got, she's doing some excellent stuff with online functional obedience stuff. So that's my plug for Crystal because she won't do it.
Thanks, Beth.
Right. Yeah. And if you really start thinking about obedience and I use a sit stay all of the time in my detection work, especially when I'm doing containers or ORTs, because I'll go move. I can put the dog in a sit stay. I can go move my containers to where I need everything to be so the dogs don't get a pattern. And then I come back and run the dog.
Did you see the picture I shared?
Which one?
I took a video of Brava, right? And I had, well, first of all, I had put a hide under the bleacher.
Oh, yes, that video.
Yeah, I know. So I took a video and I took some screenshots because for an unrelated reason, I had taught her a sit as an alert response for a study, right? That she's not in anymore, but and it's kind of generalized to ground hides. Anyway, so I have a screenshot of her sitting underneath a bleacher and at odor. Now the funny part is that then I had to retrieve the hide. So I put her in a sit stay. So talk about proofing it. So she's sitting there and she's doing a sit stay and I'm like literally on my hands and knees crawling like on my belly to get the hide back. And there she's holding it. She held it.
What a good girl.
She is a good girl. She is a good girl. Sometimes she drives me nuts, but no, she's a good girl. I love her.
You were mentioning the running. So that really made me think about the moment that I was most connected ever, and actually to Quinn and Yukon. We drove out to West Virginia. I think it was like a 10 or 12 hour drive. So it was a long time.
It's a trek.
And we did this 3 years in a row. And we did the 5K mud run out at Logan House Kennels.
Oh, I saw pictures. You shared pictures of that, didn't I?
Yeah. I put it on my CBK9 page.
That's so cool.
Page.
That's so cool. Yeah.
And it was this moment with Yukon where it's a 5K over obstacles through the mud.
Wow.
And it absolutely also changed my version of hiking because, if it was muddy or that kind of thing, I wouldn't go through the creeks necessarily. Like I would go around, I would stay on trails, And after that experience, it was so much fun. I came home and I'm like, Quiver River State Park. And I was like, nope, we're going.
I started to do search and rescue.
Yeah, right. But I mean, it's it's off the trail, but not in place you're not allowed to be. Like it's allowed, where I go.
Yeah.
And it's through the mud and through the craziness and climbing over stuff. And it changed our relationship.
Yeah.
But even that day and that moment, the night before I had blacked out and I hit my head and and there was like no hospitals and it was like, oh, whatever. So I'm
Wait,
sure I was concussed. Yeah, I'm sure I was concussed. But so I do the 5K with a concussion with a butterfly band, actually a couple of them holding my head together. And so
every so often you tell us stories and I'm like, you really are crazy.
I like a little bit of adrenaline at times. But
I'm like, yeah, something like she's like, well, I did such and such and such. And I'm like, yeah, but you're a freak. That was just my answer.
That was the recent one where I was like, yeah, I broke my leg and just kept going. And you're like, you what?
I walked it off and I'm like,
yeah, well, I finished the hike and then it was like a month later. I was finally like, okay, this swelling won't go down. So I got the MRI and they're like, yeah, you have a tibia plateau fracture and you should have a cast from your hip to your foot. And I'm like, no time for that.
I did break my finger once on riding a horse, and of course I was in my early 20s. Well, no, that was, because when you're in your early 20s, you just don't think. And I broke my finger. It's not an exciting story, but my horse was getting off of the horse trailer, and I was new at what I was doing, and the lead line popped my finger.
Ugh.
Ouch.
Yeah. So then, but I was like, but I'm here. Because, when you're in your early 20s, you don't have a brain.
Oh, I'm 44 and I still break things and still keep going.
Yeah. So I got on my horse because I'm like, oh, but I'm here. I'm going to do this 100 pace. So we're like running and jumping, and I had a broken finger, and then I had a really broken finger when we were done. And yeah. And then of course, I had to get surgery and all that. And I'm like, oh, I'm still riding, and I get it.
But the fun adrenaline part of being together, like on a 5K mud run in another state where there's mountains and you don't have those in your home state. And, then you're like, okay, I have to climb up this mountain. Well, we also have to go down this mountain as fast as we can together. Mm-hmm. And then it was mud theoretically, but really it was just cow ponds. So
ew,
that's even worse.
A very special kind of mud that Yukon really like to eat. And so as I'm climbing out from underneath this one spot, he's like eating the mud off of my arm. I just kept calling it mud. And so
that's a word.
That's one of the pictures where I am just like dying laughing, and he's like eating the mud from my arms. And then there's a floating bridge on one of the cow ponds, and I'm trying so hard not to fall into this thing because I can smell it. Like it's bad.
Did you pay to do this?
Yeah, we paid and we drove a very long ways. And we did it 3 years in a row. But he grabs the bridge that I'm trying to cross, and he's like yanking on this bridge, and I'm just dying laughing because it was so much fun. But that's where the cross training is more than just the conditioning, but it's also that relationship building. Holy cow, the things that we have done together and the miles we've driven together. And that's really where I think it's finding the joy that you can do with your dog that brings you both so much joy and builds that relationship. That mud run that's it for us. Like it was a moment.
And I think people underestimate the value of just doing stuff like that for the dog. I'll probably get hate mail about this too. But
have you actually had any hate mail from anything you've said on this?
Not yet. I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
I don't think so.
But because one of the joys about living in the Midwest is that I'm in my canine census. I'm a trainer, and Sheba is in her little in-training vest. And keep in mind, I don't take my dogs into Walmart unless they're going to at least be somewhat civilized humans.
Dogs.
Whatever. They're civilized members of society, right?
That's asking a lot of the humans.
I know it is asking a lot of the humans.
Sorry, that was my outside voice.
I know. Yeah.
And Zach, you can edit that. No,
we'll leave it in there because it's the truth. And I am walking with her, and we spent 45 minutes walking around, working on heels and sits. And, she was like, how many times are we walking down the bread aisle? Or, oh my God, the trauma of looking for malted milk. which by the way is in the drink mixes section. Malted milk, because Joe likes it in with his ice cream and his milk to make it's kind of like a shake. You make a malt with malted milk.
Is that a Midwestern thing?
No. Well, if you buy a malt, it's got malted milk in it. You just don't see it.
Oh, so the malt is a milk. It's not like a powder?
It is a powder, but you put it in with everything else and it's a thickening agent.
So you put the malt in the milk, or you buy malted milk?
You buy malted milk and then you put it with the ice cream and a little bit of milk. And
it sounds fabulous. I just have never seen it.
You know, it's Joe thing. So I love him. So I just buy it.
Sounds fabulous. Yeah.
I like malts. I thought it was a powder they added. Okay.
It is a powder. I
thought you said it was a milk.
Oh, it's malted milk, but it's a powder. It's in the drink mix section. Anyway, that was not the point of the story.
I learned what a walking taco was for the first time this summer.
We do weird things out here. And so I'm walking around for 45 minutes with my puppy at 9 months old, learning how to regulate herself behind a cart. And I put her in sit stays and I go over and I find my cinnamon bagels and whatever and put them in my cart and ask complete strangers where the malted milk is. And we're all over the store. And just that little experience, even today, I get her out of the car. She's like, we're doing the heel thing, aren't we? with no leash or anything. She's like, heel thing. I'm like, oh, yes, heel thing. Perfect square sits, the whole 9 yards. And I'm like, I love you.
It's amazing what foundation training does.
Exactly. And I was like, now we have to do it on the right side because I did all that on the left side. So, but just that little tiny adventure, you know, going someplace and walking around with strangers and distractions and all of this. And, you know, I don't expect every 9-month-old puppy to be able to do that.
No.
But we'd built up to that and we'd been starting to do that stuff at 10 weeks old.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so never underestimate the adventures of the unrelated field trips.
Yeah. I have a question for Crystal.
Uh-oh.
Well, no. You can.
Is that bad that that's my first response?
So Robin and
I gotta go let the dogs out. Sorry.
So Robin and I were actually, I'm going to blame, well, we were talking, Robin and I were talking, and we've heard you refer to things like PSA and IPO and Mondio as different sports.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking to each other, like, to us on the outside, they look the same. We're like, it's all the same. Like, why are they different sports? This is just me being like, I'm just really curious.
I like the one you sent me a video from like 1986 of
original
Schutzen, and you're like, yeah, they had way less cushion back then. And I'm like, no, it's the same sleeve.
No, the whole body.
No, that's a different sport. That's a different sport.
See, that's what I'm saying. To us, it's like, you know, you got a dog that bites the guy, or lady, whatever, right? The dog bites you.
Okay, bitey dog stuff.
Bitey dog.
Yeah, bitey dog stuff. They bite and then they stop biting. And then they do some obedience, and they
jump over stuff.
They jump over stuff.
So each sport has its own characteristics.
This is why we're like, why are these different sports? Like, that's kind of,
and why are they retrieving traffic cones? I don't understand.
I've seen the X-rated version of training in Mondio, actually, of retrieve articles. I heard about that.
What?
Yeah. Anyway, we're PG. Retrieving things that were just inappropriate retrieve articles.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. PG-13.
So IGP came from IPO, came from Schutzhund, which has been around for a very, very long time. And there's also other sports that I don't talk about, like KNPV and NVBK and French ring. And so there's other ring sports. And then there was like an RSV 2000 or something. I forgot what there's a lot of letters, a lot of alphabet soup. And then you get into the AWDF, who has the GSDCA and the AWMA. And then there's all that alphabet soup of organizations. But everybody has a different flavor.
Okay.
So when you get into nosework, you have NACSW And then what's the one in Canada we were kind of chatting about a
Oh,
little bit?
SCEA is very, yeah, it's true. It has a different flavor, but it's the same
So
sport though.
it's the same sport, it's the same concepts. You're doing nosework stuff.
Yeah.
And so, but it's different rules.
Different
And it's
rules, different odors, sort of.
uh-huh. Yes. And so it's and in that way, I think that's kind of the way I see bite sports too. I
Oh,
see IGP as the very regimented, it might even be a little more like the Canadian version, where sometimes things don't make total sense to me. Like when you're talking about the search thing, I didn't understand it quite. So then that's when we get into with IGP, I don't really understand because the whole like you have to put the nose in every single footprint. So
yeah,
it's
yeah,
very
yeah.
regimented in that way. Whereas like American Schutzhund just got created and they
Okay.
have like article search and they have narcotic search. So they've changed that portion of it.
Oh, wow.
But there's three separate sections. So there's tracking, and then you put your dog away. And then you go to the stadium, and then you have obedience, and then you put your dog away. And then you have protection, and you put your dog away. And it's very, very strictly pointed. You go to Mondio Ring, and
Uh-huh.
it's like they took parts and pieces of all the other sports
Okay.
and created a different sport. And then everything happens at the same time. So, like when you get to Ring 3, you're going to be out there for about 40 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So you're from the time you take your dog's leash off at the gate until the time you go back, it's about a 40-minute routine.
Oh,
And
wow.
so it has all the stuff basically from IGP. It has stuff from agility. It has stuff from, I mean, they've taken all the sports and put it
Huh.
together.
Oh, interesting.
But the decoy there wears an entire suit, where in IGP, they just wear a sleeve on their arm.
Okay.
So each one just has its own flavor and differences. And I see Mondio as kind of being the trainer's sport. I mean, it's just you never know what you're going to get. And then
Right, right.
PSA at the higher levels too is very much that way. It's intense. And it's different pressures that are put on the dog.
Mm-hmm.
So one dog that likes patterns and routine can do really well in IGP. A dog that can kind of just has that impulse control that you've taught so well and can handle every environment would do great like in Mondio Ring. So some dogs are not suited for certain protection sports.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. Yeah, because I was just thinking, I'm like, I keep hearing this called different sports, and I'm like, to me, it's all like a sport because I'm on the
Yeah.
outside. I don't know anything.
Yeah. So it's just the differences in the
Yeah, yeah. I was
style.
curious. I was curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's where the cross training comes in because I learned about that PSA trial for the PDC 2 weeks before it.
Uh-huh.
And because I had the foundations of IGP and Mondio Ring, I was able to just do 2 reps of a carjacking and
Uh-huh.
get a PDC because he had all the other behaviors because it's the same foundations.
And the PDC is kind of that intro
Yeah, just the
level.
intro level. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it's
Gotcha.
just
So they do a
Just
carjack
the
at the
intro
intro level?
level.
Just the intro level, and we do a carjacking scenario.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I learned the rules the night before and showed up, and it was just lots of fun. I was smiling the whole time. So it's just, it's just a fun thing that we do with our dogs.
Yeah. That's all that dog training is. I mean, it's the fun stuff that's just you're just enjoying your dog. And it's so interesting because if you talk to somebody who's and this is kind of like if people have like, dogs that are they're pets, right? And
Mhm.
and they grow up and people who kind of grow up and their dogs are pets and they don't really do sports with them. I think the relationship, I mean, yeah, they love their dogs, but when you train your dog and whether you're working with your dog, or you're competing with your dog, when you're going through that training and you're going through that you develop a very different relationship that it's so deep.
It has been interesting for me because, I have a lot of people call me and I want to get in search and rescue. I want to do search and rescue. And which is fabulous. And I ask them, what's their why? Why
Yeah.
do you want to do search work? And then I tell them my story. I was like, when I started in search and rescue 22 years ago, now I feel ancient.
No. You were 12.
I was 12. Okay, great.
You were 12. You started search and rescue at 12.
Yeah, I started search and rescue at 12.
12 years old.
And
You were the youngest person on your team.
that is almost actually a true statement when I started.
the 12 or the youngest person?
The youngest person.
Okay.
And
Let's 12.
the interesting thing is that was back in the early 2000s. We live in Iowa. I had the option to do competitive tracking
Mm-hmm.
The bitey sports stuff, I had a border collie, so that'd be a no.
Oh no, there's some awesome border
I know
collies.
there's some awesome border
True.
collies, and Talon would have actually really,
Yep.
Ellie, and so, which is fine, but Talon was also not that dog, and there was competitive obedience. Rally had just started coming out.
Yep.
And there were herding dog trials. That was pretty much my options for doing anything with a border collie and search and rescue.
Yep.
And so that's where I landed in search and rescue. And I honestly think right now, if I was just getting into dog sports or getting a dog and wanting to go out and do something with my dog, the options are amazing.
It's incredible, actually. It's really incredible.
One of the things I would still love to be able to do is Jinx would think doing barn hunt would be phenomenal. I'd get disqualified all the time for him roughing the rat.
Oh.
Because we'd want to kill it a lot.
But no, Brava's actually, here she is with like Miss Passive Indication. She goes up to I can literally, I hate to say it's literally do barn hunt with my eyes closed because I listen for her. I'm not saying that it's super easy. That's not what I'm saying. It's just I can close my eyes and listen to her because she gets to the tube and she just puts her mouth on the end of it. She just goes crunch, crunch. And
oh
then
no. Jinx would pick up the whole tube and fling it across.
Crunch.
Yeah. Because Jinx gets to do official barn hunt at the farm.
Real barn hunting.
and usually there are coons because he'll also go after coons. Watching your dogs like take down a coon is like one of the most scary. Yeah, it's terrifying.
Yep.
When Quinn got to try barn hunt, they had the little rat in the cage just to see if they'd be interested. And Quinn said, yeah, that's kind of cool. And then they encouraged him. And then he went crunch and just like bit the whole cage. Oh. And they're like, yeah. He likes this, huh? I'm like, So luckily, because of cross training, I could say out. And he immediately let go and laid down and just stared at it like he was doing like a guard.
Whoa.
But yeah, there's a lot of instinct there.
Wow.
Whereas Yukon said, get me the heck out of here. That's scary.
Judd was like, that's mommy's rat. It's in a cage. I don't need, that he wasn't interested. He was like the best nosework dog in the world, but he was like, nope, that rat's in a cage. Not interested.
Anytime that we can cross train with things that are instinctual for our dogs, where it's bitey dogs doing bite sports, whether it's the floppy ears doing the hunt. That's where I think that we are celebrating what our dogs are bred for. Yeah. And by using their instincts, I think that it's also going to build our relationships. I 100% think, and this is just from what I'm learning from Joe Lawrence and Thomas Stoke, doing hunt stuff and learning the foundations of those skills. I wish all dog owners would do it because it's all of the key things you need to have a good dog in society. I can't stress that enough.
And it's interesting for me to listen from like handlers in Europe where it's expected that their dogs go out in public and have good social manners and go through very, what we would over here consider advanced training. Yeah. So that your dogs are, they're productive members of society.
Yeah. And that is such a cultural difference. And I do wish that some of that could change here somehow. And I don't have the answer to that. But there is definitely, I'll just say a cultural difference.
Right.
You'll never hear me call my dogs fur babies.
They're dogs.
Yeah.
They're dogs.
Yeah, I do call them kiddos. That's their kind of nickname, but yep.
You'll also never hear me say skin puppies. So
no.
Oh, that's just weird. Yeah.
Now that I get hate mail. All right, Stacy, here's your chance. Robin and I are getting hate mail. What are you going to get?
I'm sure I'll come up with something.
Well, here's your chance to close us out. Let's go.
I don't close out. You guys know.
So I will close out. We have all kind of learned where our little roles are. So thank you everybody for tuning in for this kind of little interesting, robust discussion about cross training. We are not going to link to everything. because we went
You'll have to
through
find it yourself.
yeah, you're gonna have to find it yourself.
Sorry, guys.
We yes. But
Google is your friend.
If you do want references on specific people that we follow in whichever thing that we mentioned, please feel free to reach out and ask for those recommendations. We did mention Joe Lawrence for the hunting dog stuff. Pat Nolan, Thomas Stoke, Pat Nolan has just put out some fantastic stuff. It's your retriever from the pup up. So it's like the first 6 months of your retriever training. Those are some really good resources that we're all happy to share with you if you want to reach out to us. So,
and like agility, you've got Fanny Gott and Susan Garrett.
There's a bunch.
We could share so many. So if you're interested, let us know.
Absolutely. Thanks everybody for listening, and join us next week for the next episode drop, and make sure you're following us on Facebook. Check out the freebies. It's still the coaching freebies, which are fantastic. And we're working on the next set. So have a great day.
Canine Detection Collaborative. We appreciate the time you spend with us. If you liked this episode, not only should you follow us so you don't miss the next one, but please also rate and review us in your favorite podcast app. For info on collaborating with us, go to k9detectioncollaborative.com. That's K9detectioncollaborative.com, where you can find our socials and pick up our latest monthly freebie. Join us again to talk training in the next episode.